My finger's quite fast these days. What? I've got very good finger action, actually.
This is the episode about Matt's finger action.
Yeah. Aren't you glad we
We
started
thought we'd talk about my
then?
headphone situation. No, we're talking about your fingers now.
Yeah. That was actually the first thing I was going to mention, your headphones.
Yeah, but no, we're on to the fingers now. You've distracted me from the headphone situation. So, listeners, I've lost my headphones, so if it seems like I can't hear anything, it's probably because I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that sums up my situation on our end, because we're here together, our end. We've lost our headphones.
Yeah, yeah.
And even though we're in the same room, we might have trouble hearing each other.
Yeah, I mean, I can be really quiet when I want to.
Yeah, so I have to blast up the headphones, even though Matt's sitting next to me.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah, I mean, I really should stop whispering, kind of.
You should. You should. It confuses me.
Yeah.
And then I have to sort out the sound levels when we're done. So it's manic.
Yeah. Or,
So
you know, you could get your ears tested.
the thing is, I did have problems with my ears and hearing all through growing up. And I used to go to all these different hospitals. I was an outpatient at all these different hospitals, even like the fancy ones, trying to figure out what it was. But it was just my sinuses. Because they realised, in summer she can't hear. In winter she can hear.
My sister had grommets.
What's that?
I forget, it's something you get in your ear. But she used to have loads of like problems with her ears when she was younger.
Oh, I just have
She
problems
was always
with everything.
problems. Like, she had asthma and everything else.
Yeah, I think every time I went to the doctor, I had to be referred for something to the hospital. Literally every time.
It's just so attention-seeking of her, you know. As we said, I mean, see, this is the person who has her birthday the day after 9/11. I mean, come on, how selfish is that?
Some things we can't joke about, Matt. People are still touchy. Like thousands, tons of people died. It's been 14, but a lot of people died.
Yeah, but it was worth it in the long run. I don't know what I'm saying now. You better edit that out.
I'm not editing anything out.
You better do. I'm not having...
To be fair, George Bush used it as an excuse to kill like a shit ton of Middle Easterners, didn't he?
Sure.
And steal oil from Iraq.
Yeah.
So it worked out for George Bush and the American, money, economy, the American economy. And Britain, actually. Everyone that was involved in that unjust war got a piece of their oil share, so...
Yeah.
Very political, not even 5 minutes in.
Our cars run quite well, though, so that's positive.
Yeah, well...
thing.
Yeah,
we
but
did well,
a lot of people died, so...
yeah. People die all the time.
I'd rather walk and, let a few people live.
Yeah.
If walking means people get to live, I think... But then that goes against my, my world domination plan, doesn't it, where I kill off loads of people to survive.
I mean,
I'm very conflicted.
They didn't go out there to kill the Iraqis. I don't think that's what they intended
No,
to do.
But they knew that was going to happen, didn't they?
They know it's kind of going to be a consequence of war, so...
Yeah, that's why not many countries backed them. They knew what it was about. Yeah,
and it did go disastrously, so...
Come on, there were soldiers fighting in the war against it, for crying out loud. Like, they did that thing... Yeah, they were even protesting, what was it, last year or the year before, about the unjust war?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh,
this is too
heavy,
political for this early. Yeah. This early. We're supposed to be having a joke chit-chat before we get into the gritty stuff. Yeah. This early.
And plus, we've expressed our love for the government in past episodes, so,
But then, that's what I'm saying. We're really conflicted. Sometimes we're bitching, sometimes we're backing them.
Yeah.
Isn't that... Well, then we're just citizens of the world, aren't we, really?
Yeah.
We're normal people.
We can never make our minds up.
Yeah, we're normal people, especially about the government. You can never make your mind up.
Yeah.
You hate them, but then you support them in certain things.
Yeah. We're too emotional, I think.
Yeah, we really are.
Yeah.
Our dictatorship is going to be emotionally run. Loads of people are going to end up dying because of it.
Yeah. Well, Hitler was quite emotional, they say, in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously, mentioning Hitler, man. I think you just do it just for kicks at this point.
He's our hero, isn't he?
He's not my hero. You do this for kicks, don't you? You mention Hitler. We've had a good run. We've been behaving lately. We've barely mentioned Hitler. And now
But to admit, the reason we're doing this podcast is because of Hitler.
How does Hitler have anything to do with anything? Yeah, but Hitler isn't the only one that tried doing that.
Yeah, but he was probably
the most successful.
The best at doing it. We're singing his praises.
I'm still against Hitler. Stop it, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, he was a naughty boy. He did a couple of things that were a little bit suspect, but...
He was a naughty boy.
Yeah.
Well put,
All he needed
Matthew.
was a slap on the wrist. I mean, that's all we need to do. We didn't need to declare war on him.
Okay, how many million people died in the wars?
Oh, there's just a couple of people, you know. Just numbers. God,
you're going to get arrested after this episode goes up.
Oh, yeah,
you know what? I'm going to shop you to the police myself. I'm going to shop you myself. I'm so going to tell on you.
I should have done this before we recorded.
Yeah,
Got it out
and
of the
like
system.
I'll hand over the recordings that we don't air to the police as well. You and your Savile drama and your Hitler
you
love.
wanted to shoot the Queen.
I did not. You put those words in my mouth.
That's treason. I'm just merely saying Hitler was maybe slightly misjudged. I mean, really, that's all I'm saying.
I think maybe we should stop.
Than I do.
I think maybe we should stop talking about shooting the Queen and Hitler.
Yeah, like Hitler does have a part of what we're going to be doing in this podcast.
Well, it was in the same. Okay, yeah, that's true. That's true. Well,
So
you never know. It might be directly because of Hitler. We don't know. That's the thing. That's the big mystery, isn't it? Well, that's one of the big mysteries. There's a lot of mysteries for this one. I don't know how we're going to talk about all of it. So, what are we doing?
Yeah. We are doing STENDEC.
And by STENDEC, you mean the Stardust plane that disappeared in 1947. Yeah. Their last message before it disappeared in 1947 was ETA Santiago, 17.45 hours, STENDEC. And that was in Morse code. Yeah. And after that was their last transmission, and they disappeared for a number of years until 1998 till 2000, because the first sighting of it was in 1998, but they didn't actually discover all the remains until 2000. And what is it time for now, Matthew?
Case.
Oh, okay. What is it time for now, Matthew? You're getting way too excited about doing that now.
Welcome to the Dorks Deduction Podcast, where we talk about stuff.
You need to cue yourself in. We shouldn't have to tell you what time it is. It's Chico time. We should edit that Chico time music in.
You just want me to randomly just go intro music at some point.
Intro music. I think our theme tune should now be the Chico time song. It's Chico time.
Yeah, we could do.
Yeah, we could do. Why not? I think Chico needs a bit more love.
To kind of override the darkness sometimes.
Yeah.
We do get a bit
I was talking
sometimes.
I was talking to Chris earlier, and I was saying how we're more sensible when he's not around, and we do like more, darker topics. Like at some point, we're going to be doing the Limburg baby as well.
I was really up about that last night.
Yeah, and we did Dr. Crippen the other week.
Yeah,
and he was just like, "Oh no, you're not more mature. You're just less fun when I'm not around." I was like, "Oh, thanks." And I told him the topics, and he was like, "That's dark shit, man." I was like, "Yeah, I know."
Yeah.
I was telling him through this prison visitation, by the way. So
yeah, with
he's still there.
Bit of glass between you and stuff like that.
No, they don't have bits of glass now. That's in the movies. He didn't do like a violent crime, so he can be in it's like a cafeteria place. So we sit there and talk.
All right.
And we're not allowed to touch each other because we might be passing him drugs or a shank or something.
I wouldn't let Chris touch you.
Yeah, I wouldn't let him touch me on any given day, let alone in prison.
You don't know where he's been, so...
That's true. I mean, we've already covered the fact that he streaks through schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pervert.
I bet he's upset that he's going to be missing this week's topic on the Stardust incident.
Yeah.
Disappearance thing.
It's a shame this plane didn't explode, because then it could have been called the Stardust
that's a shame.
explosion.
That's a shame, isn't it, where a plane doesn't explode?
Yeah, but then it could have been the Stardust explosion.
I think I know where the depressingness comes from.
Where? Why?
You.
Me? No, I think
it's
you.
a shame that the plane didn't explode, and you were okay with 9/11 and Hitler.
Yeah, I mean, these things...
Mate, we're not even like 15 minutes into this and you're already painting a really... What if this is someone's first episode listening?
Well, at least we're being upfront and honest. We're not deceiving people.
No, you're putting words in my mouth.
Okay, you wanted to kill the Queen, and you said numerous other things.
I did not even say that.
Yeah, you said you wanted to basically be the British version of Joseph Fritzl.
No.
You did, remember? You said you wanted to...
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did. You said you were going to bring up a child.
Listeners, Matt's making shit up, okay? We're not even allowed to talk about Joseph Fritzl in my house. My dad thinks it's too disgusting. And really? I don't agree with my dad on a lot of stuff, but that's one of the things I do agree with him on.
Yeah, but you brought him up in the podcast, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
I'm pretty sure you did.
But anyway. I never said that I wanted to be like him. I said I'd keep my kid in a dungeon and just teach him the opposite of everything that's right. Yeah. I did not say that I would breed with him and kill the offspring. I said I would teach him the opposite of what is right and then set him off into the world.
Podcast, you didn't... Right, we're as bad as each other.
Matt. Fuck you, Matt. This is in the public domain. Fuck you, Matt. You're not putting words into my... Just fuck off. We'll get back to this. What topic are we talking about this week,
We're talking about STENDEC.
STENDEC. Yeah. Okay. So what the hell is STENDEC? Which is the major question.
Right.
Or should we go through the history of the plane and what happened?
Yeah. The type of plane it was one of the best planes around at the time.
1947.
Yeah. So it's kind of the Lancastrian, which was a plane that was used a lot in the war, but it'd been kind of adapted for more kind of like commercial use. Which
is what it was doing at this point in time.
So, yeah, this is 1947, and it's flying from Buenos Aires, that's in Argentina. And you got to remember...
this is
this is a time when... relations between Argentina and Britain were...
Britain and America, because,
Well, Argentina and Britain and America were a bit dodgy. So...
purely because Argentinians love Nazis more than that. And they were taking them in.
There's also, I think, isn't the Falklands an issue?
Yeah, but that's still going on. That's always been an issue.
Yeah.
But I think the only difference is because of Nazis at this point. I mean, Argentina and Britain have always had the Falklands thing. But that, again, is a podcast for another day, isn't it?
Yeah, when we've conquered the world.
And we take over the Falklands. Britain and Argentina don't get jack shit.
Yeah, they won't be bothered about it then. So,
no, they won't.
It's flying from Buenos Aires to Santiago in Chile. And this means it's got to go over the Argentine Andes, which is like big mountains. I think I watched a documentary where they said it's like the second highest kind of a lot of mountains after Everest.
Well, mountains are high.
Yeah.
We don't need to get into it. Mountains are high. That's all we need to know.
It's got to fly over there. And what's interesting about this flight, and we may go into the people a bit more, but we'll just give you some examples of the people who
I love the passenger manifest.
Yeah. The first one, there's a Palestinian returning home from Chile. No, returning home
or may
Chile.
Not. Yeah. Who may or may not have had a diamond sewed into his jacket.
So, obviously, people are kind of attracted to him. There's other people, there's a...
Shall I do it? Because I've got the list here.
Yeah, well, I've got a list as well, but it's in funny order.
Okay, well, there's also a South American agent of, Dunlop tyres. You know, those tyres from...
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, are they Chinese or Japanese or something? They're a tyre company. Yeah. Everyone knows of them. And he used to be the tutor of the Prince Michael of Romania. I didn't even know Romania had a royal family. So that's why I messaged Julia after I read this. And I was like, Romania have a royal family? And she said, yeah. She said the Avrams, because that's Julia's name.
Julia's a member of the royal family?
No, I think she was shitting with me. So I don't think she was being genuine. If she was a member of the royal family and she lived the way she did,
yeah,
she lived hand to mouth. I don't think any royal family members live like that.
But yeah, well, I mean, places like Sweden and Denmark still have royal families, but in general, they don't exist so much anymore.
Yeah, why does everyone just care about the British one? They're like the least interesting ones. At least the ones from Monaco, they're quite interesting and they're very good to look at. But that's because they've got Grace Kelly's blood, don't they? So, yeah. All right, so another passenger was a German retiree.
Yeah.
She was returning to Chile, and she'd been held up because of, a little thing called the war.
Yeah.
She was supposed to go back ages ago, earlier, but the bloody war happened and it inconvenienced her travel plans.
Yeah, and her being German, obviously, kind of, there were suspicions that she may have been like a former Nazi or something.
In her 70s, must have been very dangerous.
And also, there was a British civil servant known as the King's Messenger, and this is like very much, he's big in like the diplomatic kind of world.
Man, you got to that before me.
Yeah, well, he's the most interesting, and I thought I'd say it because
Yeah, I know, but that's why he was going to go last
in this podcast.
Of course, I mean you love bad things.
Yeah. So I think,
but he was carrying. No, what I found interesting, he was carrying a diplomatic bag.
Yeah.
That he was going to give to the UK embassy. What was in that bag? I couldn't find out what was in that bag.
No, nor did I. But that's something we
really
could
want to
talk
know what's in that bag
later on.
Yeah.
So the date was August the 2nd, 1947.
Can I just say before I forget? 1947 is also when the Roswell incident supposedly happened.
Yeah, I was going to... And my mum was born, so there's theory that my mum's an alien. We mentioned that in a previous podcast.
But it made me sort of doubt myself, because we slated the Roswell incident, like, so badly a few weeks ago. But it made me doubt myself. It's like, these two things happened in the same year.
Oh, but plenty of things happened in the same year, though.
I know, but it's a connection, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like a plane disappearing and a crash in Roswell, New Mexico in the same year.
We can't blame my mum for this one, though, because she wasn't born at that time. She was born October of 47, so my mum's faultless in this one. So, yeah.
Because she was the reason for the Roswell incident.
Obviously, I mean, it's...
Obviously.
It can, what else explains it, really?
I don't know. I don't know anyone that was born in...
as sensible as some of the other theories that have been put out, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's a personal connection to you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just all about me, really. Yeah, so the captain was Reginald Cook, and he was a very kind of experienced and decorated wartime flyer.
He was an RAF flyer, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Flyer, pilot, flyer. Yeah, that's my vocabulary. He's an RAF flyer.
So, you can have asked for a more, dependable crew in some ways. I think he'd had experience of flying over the Andes as well, I think. So this wasn't, new to him. So you wouldn't have thought anything was going to really go wrong at this point. But then they say that
because
about
their weather was even less dependable than our weather forecast.
Yeah. So as we said earlier, this plane was really one of the most sophisticated planes of the time. It could fly at speeds of 310 miles per hour, which is bloody fast.
Just bloody fast. I love how British we are sometimes. And then, we swear at each other and then we say pardon.
Yeah.
I was talking to Chris about this as well. And it's like, we're so polite, yet we're swearing at each other and telling each other to fuck off constantly.
Yeah. That's what made me laugh. I'm going to divert a little bit. My nan always used to go on about us pronouncing our T's properly.
Oh, yeah, they do that.
Because,
and R's as well.
Yeah.
So, shower.
But then she was the person that instead of saying pardon, she'd say, what?
You what, mate?
Yeah. Well, she was actually
Wait,
from
what
London.
year was your grandmother born? Because she might have been the reason for this. Was she the German passenger?
No, I mean, my nan was English as far as I know. I mean, I wasn't alive for most of her life, so I couldn't kind of swear on it.
Oh, really? You were born in 1991 and you didn't really know your grandmother that well?
Well, I knew her, but I wasn't alive for her life, was I?
Yeah, that's true.
She'd been alive nearly 70 years at that point.
Yeah.
I'm not going to blame her just yet. So
grandfather? No, let's move on.
And this plane could fly at heights of well over 20,000 feet, which might not sound too much now, but you've got to remember this is 1947. And so this was sufficient enough to kind of clear the tallest peaks in the area, so obviously, because otherwise they wouldn't have been trying to go over the mountains.
No, they would not. You just paused, so I figured I had to say something.
Yeah. And so the plane used Morse code, which I think had been around for quite a while at that point, I think Morse
code's been around almost forever. Yeah. Well, not forever, but a really long time.
Yeah. So that was...
We should have really Googled that before.
Yeah. So, yeah, the flight...
But can I just say, before we move on, Morse code, the people that know it are really smart, because I've looked at so many, but I can't tell the difference between any of it. It's just so weird to me. They're all like dashes and dots and things, and I don't get
Isn't
it.
there, like-
I don't understand how anyone would get it.
And isn't there like the length of like the dashes as well are meant to be like important?
Oh, is it?
stuff like
Okay, then it's a lot smarter than I
Yeah,
thought it
it's-
was, which was pretty bloody smart to begin with.
Yeah. So the flight takes off quite normally, and it's going quite normally, and nothing appears to be going wrong. Then the like air traffic control kind of people, they get a message that I think you said it earlier.
Yes. It was ETA, which means estimated time of arrival.
Yeah.
Santiago, 17.45 hours. STENDEC in capital
Yeah.
letters. So that's STENDEC.
At this point, the air traffic control people are led to believe, from what their plane said, they're about 4 minutes away or something.
Yeah.
So
fairly close to the arrival spot.
So everyone's prepared for this plane to be getting there quite soon. But the STENDEC kind of froze them a bit, because this isn't like a recognised aviation kind of language. And even like it doesn't even like make a Spanish word, which
Yeah,
I guess...
so that's why they asked him to repeat it,
Yeah.
and he did repeat the same thing twice. So he did it 3 times. It's not like he made a mistake the first time.
Yeah, so it's obviously what he wanted to say, we assume. But after that, second time of sending that, there was no more messages received from the plane.
And the plane never arrived.
Yeah, and after the time of arrival had gone past, people are obviously starting to realise there's something wrong here.
Which is quite good, because usually flights are delayed for hours and no one seems to give a shit.
Yeah,
Whereas this one, a few minutes passes, and people are going batshit.
yeah. And so there was an extensive aerial search was mounted.
To be honest, it can't have been that extensive.
Well, apparently it was actually, but there's a good reason why they didn't find it, but might have to wait a little bit for that.
I never understood why they couldn't find it if they were only a few minutes away from their destination. And
Okay,
the
I'll
captain,
explain why they didn't find it.
Okay.
When they hit the mountain, you've got to remember this mountain's covered in snow. It caused an avalanche which covered the whole plane. So you wouldn't have seen it, even if you were looking hard.
But wouldn't you have noticed that there had been an avalanche recently?
Not necessarily.
Isn't that what you'd look for next to a mountain?
Not necessarily.
Because anything can
you
cause an
can't always
avalanche.
tell there's been an avalanche. Because you just remember, it's all snow. You're not going to necessarily notice, unless you've a really detailed kind of idea of where all the snow is.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. If it was an extensive search, wouldn't you try and look in the snow?
No,
Because
it
avalanches
is.
could happen over like the most minuscule things, can't
Yeah,
they?
but it is quite deep snow, though. So you wouldn't necessarily... I mean, I'm not sure how much of the actual kind of mountain they looked at. I was watching a documentary where they said there was quite a big search for it, but they just never found it. So, I don't know whether they were actually on the mountain. I saw a documentary where even the modern kind of crews that were going up there, it is quite hard to get up there.
Really? Because I thought it was like when I couldn't find something, as in I look around my room and I tell my mum I can't find it, and she tells me to look in a million places, and then I pretend that I've looked in those million places and say I can't find it, so she comes into my room and gets it for me.
Yeah, unfortunately,
I thought it was
these
more like
guys
that.
didn't have your mum with them, so...
My mum would have found that easy.
But even nowadays, it takes a good 5 days to get up there. You start.
Okay,
you start
yeah, it
by
sort of
car,
makes sense, because
then you have to get mules, and then you have to walk the rest. So it's not kind of the easiest place to get to. I'm not entirely sure whether they did that then, but they did do quite extensive aerial searches, and obviously you're not
it does sort of make
necessarily
sense.
going to be able to see that well from the aerial kind of stuff. You're not going to see everything from the air.
Yeah.
So
I was wondering why, some hikers spotted it in 1998, but then they didn't discover it until 2000. That I felt that gap was a bit wide.
Yeah.
Because seeing as though the hikers saw a piece of it, went back, relayed the message to the townsfolk or whoever, and they thought it was that missing plane, yet they didn't actually go up and get it and salvage it until 2000. So it's a 2-year gap.
Yeah, I don't think... I forget what... I think there was a reason why they couldn't go up. I think it was to do with the weather or something, why they couldn't go immediately up. And I think it just kind of got delayed, I think, in the end.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, it wasn't pressing. Those people are going to be long dead anyway, so...
Yeah, But there's a really the reason why it disappeared for so long, why we couldn't see it until it kind of suddenly reappeared in the 90s, which mystified everyone at the time. I think this is a good time to kind of go over. I don't think there's much more to go on about, is there?
No, we've covered the journey of
Crash,
the plane.
yeah.
The plane.
And we'll because we've only come to understand precisely what happened after this.
Yeah.
All happened. So it's only in the last kind of. Well, it was only in kind of, I think, the early 2000s they worked out what they think happened at the time.
Yeah, what they think. It's not based on fact. It's, well, some facts, some assumptions, because there's no way to know conclusively what happened.
Yeah, which and that kind of leads to conspiracy theories, which we'll come on to.
We've been doing a lot of conspiracy theories lately.
We're getting into that, aren't we?
Yeah.
So, yeah, basically what happened when it went into this avalanche was it just got buried. And so this kind of snow just, I think, turned into ice.
Yeah.
And so basically for years it was just under this ice, but it's always slowly moving, I think. Yeah,
like the world is slowly moving anyway. Like the plates are rubbing up against each other. Everything is moving.
So all this time, over 50 years, it's gradually just moving down. And I think what happened, it went into the kind of the deepest parts of this ice. So there's so at one point, you know, it was so far down, but because the ice isn't level, so eventually it starts to kind of thin out, and that's why we start seeing the plane again as it gradually, because as it moves down the mountain, the ice is thinner, and so it starts to slowly kind of pop out of the ice until eventually there's no ice at all. And that's how we find this plane again after 50 years.
Instead, we find nature found it for us. You lazy buggers.
In a way. So it's kind of an example of like a great kind of geographical.
Yeah, you never know. We might find that Malaysian Airlines flight.
Well, they found a bit of it.
Well, they'll probably find the rest of it in about 70 years.
Yeah, I mean that is different. I mean that is kind of literally one of the most remote parts of the world, the Indian Ocean. So I'm not so hopeful.
Yeah, we're never going to find it, are we? It's in the ocean somewhere.
We are beacons of hope for the families, though.
No, but like sometimes hope is bad because you don't get to move on with the rest of your life. Sometimes you need to put it to bed. Because I've been watching Hand of God, and there's this guy that's on life support. His wife wants to take him off so she can move on with his life so he could be at peace. Yeah. Whereas his father wants him to stay on, so he's fighting to have him stay on. Yeah. So, yeah, sometimes it's better for people to move on. Yeah. Give up and... Well, not give up and move on, but make peace and move on.
I think that is the problem they've had with the plane, kind of not having any kind of sign of it at all. Yeah. So, and it was the same with this case. There was a lot of the families, just because there was no answers to what had happened. There was no sign of like bodies or anything to the plane. Apparently, a lot of the families did subscribe to the theory that aliens had taken over the plane and had flown off with it.
Well, that makes sense since they landed in Roswell as well. So maybe 1947 was the year of the aliens.
Pretty much.
So we put that to bed. It was aliens, and we basically just retconned our Roswell episode. Yeah. So aliens did it. But we all know that they probably didn't. I think it's air pirates. I was going to say pilots. Air pirates.
Air pirates.
I like to think it's air pirates. Pirates of the air. They exist.
So rawr.
Pirates actually exist, okay? They're not like the ones that you see in fiction and Peter Pan, but there are air pirates.
Ones with hooks.
No.
Explain more, then. I'm kind of interested.
It's people that... It's like Pirates of the Sea, but for planes. They hijack planes. I think it would make everything make sense.
Why didn't you say hijackers?
Because air pirates sounds funner, more fun. So I think, because we've gone through the list of some of the people that were on the plane, there's various reasons why pirates would want to go onto that plane. And if they're professional pirates, they'll know that their ETA for the plane is soon, so they get the pilot to send out a message, but the pilot sends out the wrong message to gain someone's attention, and he sends it out 3 times. Yeah. And then they kill him and crash, and then they jump out or something.
They jump out after they've crashed?
No, they probably jumped out before they crash. I'm assuming they have, like, what are those things?
Parachutes.
Parachutes. Yeah.
What are those things?
I'm assuming they had parachutes. They had parachutes in
I think it's
1947,
possible
didn't they?
because it was an air. It did used to be a plane that was used in the war, so I'm pretty sure it'd have the capability to do that.
Yeah, that's it. That's like the only theory I have with this, because the rest of the stuff I've read doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah,
because people have tried to like figure out what STENDEC means, even in Morse code. But think about it, pilot's experience, he's not going to mess that up.
Yeah.
And he's not going to put out a signal that no one else is going to understand.
Yeah.
So the only reason that he'd do it is because he wanted it that way.
Yeah, because, I mean, some people's theory is that it was descent spelled backwards, but then why would he spell it backwards? It seems...
Exactly.
Unless you're
That's what I don't get, because most of people's theories are him trying to be too smart, or him being sick, or him not knowing what to do. Which I don't get, because he is clearly an experienced pilot. He's been working for years.
Yeah.
He's been doing the same job for years. He knows protocol. So I don't see him doing that.
Yeah. The only kind of sensible theory I've heard about this, but it's still a little bit, is there's a thing called hypoxia, which...
Yeah, but I've looked into that as well.
Which is oxygen deprivation. Because, I mean, it would have been... they did have to wear oxygen masks at their highest kind of peak when they were flying. So, it's possible, but...
No, that one doesn't hold any merit for me whatsoever.
Doesn't?
Because if he had hypoxia, he wouldn't do things too overcomplicated, like do descent backwards. And he certainly... And
but
from what I've seen...
He could have been trying to spell it out.
Yeah, but from what I've seen, he wouldn't do it the same thing 3 times.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have been able to... He wouldn't be capable to do that.
Yeah, I mean, hypoxia, its last stage kind of leads to kind of like unconsciousness.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be capable to send out the same message 3 times.
Yeah. So we're sceptical about that one.
I'm sceptical about everything that I've read about decoding this STENDEC thing.
Yeah.
I don't think any of it makes sense.
I really don't think we're going to be able to answer this one.
So basically, we told you the story to not give you any sort of outcome.
Yeah.
Well, I've given you my version, and I think that's like the only plausible one. Because think about the passengers on the plane. You've got the German woman who may have had Nazi connections. You've got the guy that had links to the royalty of Romania. And what sort of... Because this was wartime, wasn't it? So what connection did Romania have to the war? Do you know if they were involved, or were they Switzerland in this, or...?
I can't... Because I know they would go on to become a communist country, but I don't know what they... I think they did have some involvement in the war. I'm on the
basically,
Wikipedia
we should have had
page.
Julia for this episode.
Yeah, I'm on the... it officially adopted a position of neutrality. However, it did have to... I think it had to get involved because the situation was changing in 1940, and there was a lot of domestic political upheaval.
Get involved as in the German side or everyone else's side?
Well, it's a bit split because there's a fascist side of Romania that wanted to have an alliance with Nazi Germany.
Oh, yeah. To be fair, that's still a tenuable link to the royal family, isn't it? Him being the former Tudor.
Yeah.
And he's an executive in his own right, so maybe it was his money, who knows?
Yeah.
And then you've got the Palestinian guy with the diamond. We don't know where the diamond came from. I don't think there's any record of the diamond coming from anywhere. It was sewn into his jacket.
Yeah. So,
how did they know it was sewn into his jacket, though?
I don't know. I just...
Like, how was that public record?
I'm not sure whether that's just become, like, a myth or something, because...
Yeah, maybe it was Chinese whispers.
The most, like, evidence is... I've just heard alleged. But I've not
yeah, that's what I've heard, but I've heard that on so many different websites that I've read.
Yeah.
I've heard he had the diamond, but where did that come from? Maybe it was just to glamorise or glorify the actual story, trying to give it some meat.
Because it's South America known for kind of diamonds. Or even Palestine. Yeah, Palestine. Kind of.
Maybe it was a special diamond.
Yeah. So, I mean...
One that... Maybe he'd stolen the diamond from someone else and they decided to pirate the plane.
Yeah, it does appeal to kind of like ideas of kind of diamond stealing and stuff like that. Which, if you've watched a lot of like old films, they love that kind of thing.
Like, did you never watch Blood Diamond? A lot of people got killed over that one diamond.
Yeah,
that's why it's called Blood Diamond, I guess. But
unfortunately, they didn't kill DiCaprio in that, did they?
They did. He died.
Oh, they did. Oh, he dies in everything.
He died.
except for in real
die and
life.
everything. Like I remember watching that, and I was like, "There's no way DiCaprio's going to die at this point." So he's like the hero of the movie. He's the bad guy that turns good,
Yeah.
and then he dies, and I'm just like, "Oh fuck, he died again." And this was just after I'd had like a DiCaprio day, so I'd
Yeah.
watched 2 other films where he died, and I was just like, "For fuck's sake,
Yeah.
again."
Yeah, well, I mean, he deserves to die.
Yeah. Okay, those passengers aside, because we've also got not the Secret Service agent, the civil servant that was carrying the bag.
Yeah, so you think there's a good reason for someone to want to crash that plane?
Yeah, I think there's many reasons. The passengers themselves.
Yeah. Also,
That, and
the
this is
Palestinians
wartime.
also interesting because obviously there's kind of... Palestine is an area, even back then, it was an area of relations weren't good. Obviously, because of the creation of
I don't think
Israel.
relations have ever been good, really, with Palestine, have they?
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, the British influence over there as well. Britain did contribute to that whole problem, so...
Oh, yeah, no. Britain do a lot of shit.
Yeah.
That's it, that's my whole point. Britain do a lot of shit.
So, yeah.
I think the world would genuinely be better off if we were a dictatorship. Like, we were the heads of the dictatorship.
Yeah.
I think less people would actually end up dying, and there'd be less wars.
It's a good excuse for us to gain power, so yeah.
No, it's not an excuse. I actually genuinely believe that the world would be a better place.
Yeah, I mean, at least we just kill British people. I mean, you know.
No, we just kill, like, the useless people of society. They're not just British, because there's some useful British people.
Yeah.
Hot British actors, mainly, but...
You kill hot British actors?
No, they're the ones that we leave alive.
Oh, no, I'd kill them.
No, we leave them
right.
alive, and they'd do plays for me in my front room. I'm sure they'd love that. Anyway, let's
We're
go back
getting
on
into your
topic.
fantasies now, so we don't want to go there.
No, but you can't go there without parental supervision.
Yeah. There is an official theory for what happened. Shall we talk about that?
No, well, I'm not done. Did they ever find the bag that was with the diplomatic bag that was with the civil servant? Did they find it in the wreckage? Do you know? Because I couldn't see that. I couldn't find that.
Yeah. I can't remember if I watched the documentary where they did.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure, but I mean, I'm not sure how
Because
well it was
if there was no,
survived.
like, if we didn't find the diamond or the bag in the wreckage, that means, that means my pirate idea is really plausible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or maybe they just wanted to steal the actual plane, because there's a theory with the Malaysian Airlines plane that was terrorists that wanted to steal the plane. They wanted to use it for their own misdeeds.
Yeah. We really should do a podcast on MH370, actually.
On what?
On the Malaysian plane. It's a good one.
I don't think it's been long enough since the plane crash. We need more information, to be honest. I think we need more
Still
information.
get some interesting theories out of it.
Yeah, we can theorise about it. But yeah, maybe in like a couple of months' time. We don't want too many plane things in one go, do we?
No, true. Shall I say the official theory of how
Yeah,
they think
go
it's
for it.
crashed? The official theory is that they were all on course until they flew into a jet stream, which is it's a natural kind of you wouldn't call it a vent, but it's kind of like a natural phenomena.
Okay.
Which happens, and it's in that part where they do get a lot of jet streams, and they weren't so well understood back then. They in general didn't know they existed. So also you got to remember it's a time when navigation was still. I mean, these pilots were very good at navigation, but when it was the technology they were using wasn't.
It's not like they have satellites
Yeah, I mean they were
telling
using
us
compasses,
where to go.
which can be very good, but also they are liable to fail at times. So
Yeah, pretty much like anything else, to be honest.
basically, they slipped into this jet stream without realising, and obviously this pushed them off course. And so while they thought they cleared the mountains, they hadn't. And so that's how they crashed into this mountain, because that always surprised people, because they believed it had been 4 minutes away from Santiago. So obviously the first place they look is near Santiago, where they think it's crashed.
Yeah.
And so that kind of, I think, put people off. And then kind of, there had been talk
Yeah,
about...
but wouldn't the pilot know before he's sending out that last message that he's not near Santiago?
Well, he clearly...
He's an experienced pilot.
He believed he was on course. And there is, I think, a theory about mountains, because it's a snowy mountain as well. There is a theory that when it's very easy to mistake it for clouds, actually.
Oh, okay.
and stuff like that. And they might have just not known. They might have just come out of the cloud and it literally be right in front of them. And they've got no opportunity to warn anyone at all.
Oh, okay. But this official theory, that does not take into account STENDEC.
It doesn't. There's one more thing.
Did they just were they just hoping that we'd forget about that? It's like when you're retconning a TV show.
Yeah.
They're hoping that you forget about what happened.
Because it seems quite a calm message as well, and also it is interesting to point out that when the plane crashed, there was no signs that it tried to kind of pull up or anything like that. It had been cruising literally into the mountain, so it's believed that whoever was on board either didn't know it was a mountain, or the other idea is that they were kind of deliberately trying to crash into the mountain if they knew it was there. So
Which
that would fit
they
your
wouldn't have
idea.
done. Yeah, that's true, the pirate. But I've come up with another theory now.
Yeah.
A wormhole of space and time.
Wow.
So maybe he was on course, and he did start sending out the message, and then he slipped into a wormhole, and the message got jumbled, and he got STENDEC, and it repeated 3 times, and then, because it's space and time, 1998, it crashes, or 1997, crashes into the mountain, snowed over, and then you've got the hikers that find it in 1998. Boom, done.
Wow. A wormhole. So that's
A wormhole of space and time.
Takes you forward in time or something.
A wormhole of space and time. I said it about 5 fucking times.
All right. I did the end of it, though.
A wormhole of space and time.
The only wormholes I've known are when you get worms.
Ew.
Yeah, let's move on from worms.
No, okay, yeah, but that's a funny one, but yeah, I think it was the pirates.
Yeah.
Pirates is the only thing that makes sense to me. I can't buy into all the other theories. Pirates the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah. Another conspiracy theory is, and it's not very, I don't know how plausible, but it's the idea, it being in Argentina, that the Nazis crashed it or something like that. That the Nazis hijacked it.
But Nazis were friendly with the Argentinians.
Yeah.
Why would they crash a plane into Argentina?
Well, it might be because of the people on board, I suppose.
You've got the
British
German
servicemen.
national, you've got the Palestinian, you've got the Brits.
Yeah.
Possibly, I guess.
Yeah.
But would they, I guess we've talked about that, how they could have been important people.
Yeah.
But wouldn't they have at least let the, save the German Nazi... Well, we don't actually know if she had Nazi relations, we're just assuming.
Yeah. She was a resident of Chile for quite a while at the time, I think. She had been in Germany at some point during her life. I think she was born there.
Well, she was German, so
Yeah.
I'm sure she'd been there.
So,
I guess, yeah, the Nazi thing is a plausible theory, but I don't see why they would have crashed it in Argentina if they were
Yeah.
friendly with the Argentinians. I think if it was off course anyway, they would have crashed it somewhere else.
yeah. It could be possibly that the Nazis hijacked it and then not knowing really how to fly the plane properly, crashed into
possibly.
the mountain. I mean, that's
Possibly.
one possible theory. I mean,
But if you're getting someone to hijack the plane, wouldn't you get someone that knows how to fly a plane?
yeah. But
And what's the point of crashing it? They could have...
You've got
What's the point of crashing it, though? Because I'd feel like if they wanted to off the people on board, that's fine, but they could use the plane.
yeah.
It was a good plane. They could have just taken the plane.
I mean, because these were a lot of
Mm.
theories that were around at the time before it was found. But obviously, it being found kind of wrecked a few of these theories, because I think a lot of the theories, like, because you know how these Nazis were flying into Argentina or wherever,
Yeah.
you know, and all these South American countries where they're trying to hide. I think the big theories was that it was like taken by Nazis to kind of land somewhere.
Yeah, possibly.
So, I mean, that's one possible kind of thing. I don't think we got too much more on this, have we?
Neither do I. I'm still sticking with my pirate theory.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, like I said, it's the only one that makes any... I know it makes no sense to anyone else, but it makes sense to me.
Yeah. But there's still, like, no real theories on STENDEC. And we...
Apart from my one, I think that makes it... that takes it into account. He was just... He was doing the gibberish because the pirates were trying to tell him to send out the usual message.
Yeah.
What if the pirates knew what the message was for panic or SOS? Or they would know that message, wouldn't they? Because that would be widely known. So he was trying to do a jumbled mess so people would think, oh, something's wrong.
Yeah. So you don't buy the official
And then
theory,
something... Yeah. Pardon?
You don't buy the official theory.
No, and then I think something happened. Maybe the pilot got injured, or there was some sort of ruckus, and they ended up flying into a mountain.
Yeah.
I think that would take into account the reason it was off course, and the message, and the fact that it crashed.
Why cover it up 50 years later, though?
No, I don't
Could
think
it
anyone
been-
covered it up.
Yeah, but why come up with that theory now?
Me?
Well, no, why would they come up with this theory, the official theory? Why would they come up with it now?
Just because they needed some sort of theory that didn't,
I suppose.
ruin everyone's day.
I suppose. I mean, they could have come up with that theory to disguise another theory which could have been very damaging, I suppose.
Yeah, like we said, the government lie a lot. Governments all around the world lie.
But for good reasons sometimes, we should have.
Sometimes, yeah, it's for good reasons, but sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was more plausible to them to put out that story.
Yeah.
Because the evidence they had, well, we're not privy to all the evidence they had. Maybe the evidence they had points more towards that than my pirate theory, but I still think my pirate theory is true.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose the official theory is kind of explains some of it, but it still doesn't explain STENDEC.
No, and it's bland. I don't like it.
Yeah. It does feel like that side of it's a bit underexplored.
I don't think we're ever really going to know what happened to it.
Yeah.
Unless, one of the passengers slipped in that wormhole space and time and they'll show up at some point and tell us what happened.
I mean, someone could have survived. It has happened before.
In the ice for how long?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean in the wormhole? Yeah.
No,
people have survived in
the ice.
wormholes.
There's an interesting one about in Chile. They had a plane crash and they crashed in the ice and they managed to survive 2 weeks because they turned to cannibalism.
Oh, yeah. Cannibalism. You always go back to the cannibalism or the Nazis, don't you?
What? I don't go on about it that often.
It might have been a couple of episodes since you mentioned cannibalism. But you do mention it quite a lot. But yeah, I know about that one. Don't worry. But it makes sense why you would do that, because not all of you are going to survive the initial crash, and to survive, you'll eat the remaining people.
It's a good documentary when someone says, "You can eat my sister." So yeah, I mean, it's possible someone could have survived. So there is maybe someone out there who knows what happened.
Yeah, but I'm assuming they counted the bodies and the flight manifest and checked against the flight manifest.
The thing is,
they wouldn't have told us if they were missing people.
They discovered all the bodies, and plus they would have been severely disfigured over time. So.
Yeah, but they can count, can't they?
Yeah, but you still might not have discovered everyone. I don't know whether everyone was discovered.
That's true. They could have easily just fallen. They might have just assumed that they were falling out of the plane as it crashed or whatever, or they were jumping out. But we all know the truth. They slipped in that wormhole of space and time.
Yeah.
Or the pirates took them when they hopped off the plane before crashing it.
Yeah. Or the Nazis did something with it.
Or the Nazis did something, because it's always the Nazis, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's our best theories.
Our best theories. So, yeah, I don't think STENDEC means anything.
Yeah.
I feel sad for people that have actually worked their whole lives trying to figure out what STENDEC is.
Yeah.
STENDEC is, but I don't think it means anything.
It's clearly not. Well, we don't believe it's a UFO. It's clearly not.
Unless the Roswell thing did actually happen and they're connected, I don't believe it's a UFO. And, well, it could be a UFO. Like we went over the Roswell thing. A UFO is unidentified flying object. It could just be another plane that you don't recognise. But we don't think it's aliens.
Although aliens could have crashed it. They could have managed to get on board. An alien could have got aboard somehow.
Maybe the aliens were the pirates.
Yeah. So alien pirates crashed the plane. It's still possible.
Your mum has a lot to answer for, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, we agreed that my mum wasn't born at this time, so...
Well, you never know. Aliens might not age, or they might age slower. That's why you think she was born in 1947, and she actually wasn't, and she caused this plane crash.
Yeah. So perhaps my mum was really older than she was telling me.
Yeah, maybe she was in her hundreds. You never know.
That's a possibility, I suppose.
So your mum has a lot to answer for.
Yeah, I mean, she's evil. Just pure evil.
Evil. She hooked up with the Masons as well.
Yeah. My dad's a Mason, so I mean, he's probably behind something as well.
Yeah. He's behind the Malaysian Airlines thing.
Yeah, thanks.
You never know.
You say they faked their deaths, Tarmin? Is that what you're saying?
Possibly. Yeah. You never know.
Okay.
You never know.
My dad would have been alive at the time of this crash, though, so he could have been.
Oh, and that's true.
He was actually in the RAF at some point, I think.
Was your dad the reason this plane crashed?
Yeah. He crashed it into the mountain.
What if, STENDEC is just them trolling people, and then they were having a laugh, and they went out of control because they were shitting themselves laughing, and they crashed? What if that was just it? It was as simple as that. They were just trying to play a practical joke.
It could have just been they were being immature.
Yeah, maybe. And then
spelling descent backwards or something like that.
Yeah. They thought they were being funny, and then they were laughing too much, and they crashed because they were laughing too much.
It's really not that great a joke, is it?
No, it's
Not
not.
great
So,
enough to crash about.
no, so I think we've discovered it. Like, the pilots thought they were comedians, but they weren't. So, yeah. There's not really much more we can say about this, is there?
No, we've got it all dusted.
No, we've done and dusted. We sorted it. So it's either a wormhole, pirates, Nazis, or the pilots were just having a practical joke that went badly, very badly. So we narrowed it down.
Yeah.
We didn't even bother trying to figure out what STENDEC was. I was planning on trying to come up with anagrams or like meanings of acronyms or something for it, but I couldn't even be bothered. I don't know how people do this.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought about it, and then I was just like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I thought I'd actually put an effort into my research, but I decided not to.
I mean, I don't think there's really anything we could come up with anyway, even if we did do that.
No, some things just aren't going to be
But
explained
it's really
ever.
talked about, kind of. I mean, the best theory I think for it, and I'm not sure we buy it, is that it was trying to say descent or something like that.
I don't buy that either. I just think I'm all for the pirate theory, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think that just takes into account everything. I think that's all it could be. And there are air pirates.
Yeah.
There are. I don't want anyone telling me they're not, because there are air pirates. Don't you dare try to email me and tell me there aren't.
Well, there are people who hijack planes.
Yeah.
It's
They're
usually
air
to
pirates.
go somewhere.
Well, maybe they just wanted what was on the plane. They hopped off and let it crash.
They'd have to
But it's
use
quite
the
a valuable
parachutes.
plane. That's the thing. It's quite a valuable plane. I don't understand why they wouldn't try and take the plane for their own.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one thing that I can't factor into my theory.
So they could have possibly been after the diamond.
Possibly.
I mean,
Or
it
what's
does
in the
sound
diplomatic
like it could
bag.
be a film, this, couldn't it?
Pardon?
It sounds like it could be a film.
It probably is a film.
Yeah.
Or they could have been out after what was in the diplomatic bag.
I mean, that
They could have been after the German lady. But I don't really think she's a Nazi. I don't think she has Nazi connections. Because like you said, she was going home to Chile. She lived in Chile.
Yeah.
She might have just gotten stuck in Germany during war.
I mean, that diplomatic thing, going back to that could have been something really important that someone didn't want to find out.
Yeah, that's true.
So that could be a reason why it's kind of crashed. Yeah.
So yeah, we basically have no definite answer for this whatsoever.
But we think it's bloody interesting.
I think it's pirates, okay? I think that's the only thing it could be. I'll think pirates till my deathbed.
Yeah.
Until someone proves otherwise.
Essentially,
All the wormhole, space and time, it could be that as well.
Yeah. Tom essentially thinks Captain Hook stole the bloody plane.
I didn't say it was Captain Hook.
Yeah, you did.
But Jason Isaacs, I would probably let him steal a plane.
Oh, hello, Jason Isaacs.
Hello, Jason. We know you're listening.
Yeah.
He's not. He's just definitely not.
No.
No one listens to this
No one
apart
we
from
talk about. Not even Hitler listens to our podcast.
I wonder why, Matt. Even if he did fake his death in 1947, he's going to be dead. What was it, 48? When did he fake his death? Well, when did he die?
45.
45. Why did I think it was like 48?
When the war ended, Tarvin.
Yeah, I know. Why did I think it was 48? I had no idea. But even if he did fake his death, he'd be dead now.
Unless he found some way, like the elixir of life.
Maybe that's what he was actually after the whole time.
Yeah.
He wasn't really racist. He was just after the elixir of life.
It wouldn't surprise me if you could find that somewhere in South America. Because I do think...
I'm pretty sure there is a rumour or a legend of there being a fountain of youth in South America.
Yeah. Because I know there's one in Japan or China somewhere. Because the theory's quite big over there somewhere.
That's because they don't fucking age there.
Wasn't there a Percy Fawcett thing about trying to find the elixir of life or something?
I think he was trying to find a lot of things. He was trying to find the City of Gold. He was trying to find El Dorado. He was trying to find Atlantis. He was trying to find everything, wasn't he?
Yeah. So yeah. We think Hitler managed to survive. By finding
we're wrapping this up with Stardust.
America.
Yeah, we're wrapping up the Stardust episode with the Hitler found the elixir of life.
Yeah.
Why the Hitler? Why always with the Hitler? Anyway, I think we should actually say, sayonara.
Yeah. Hail.
Right.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Ta-ta.
Ta-ta for now.